Acquiring a business? BizNexus simplifies it. Access thousands of updated opportunities in our DIY marketplace or supercharge team sourcing with OmniSource, your all-in-one platform for on-market, off-market, and coming-soon deals. Scale smarter today. Learn more or book a demo at www.biznexus.com.
Disclaimer from the always present legal team. Podcast conversations don't necessarily reflect the views of BizNexus Incorporated. Everything you hear is informational news and updates from around the industry. We're not recommending any investments. We're not offering any investment advice. Be sure to do your own homework.
All right, so we're diving into acquisitions today, but we're getting specific. We're talking about the lower middle market, where the stakes are high and the margin for error is, well, let's just say it's pretty slim.
Yeah.
We're going to be looking at why so many acquisitions fail, especially in the lower middle market.
Right.
And we're drawing on the insights of Rowland Chen. He's got decades of experience in M&A, so he knows what he's talking about. And get this, a truly staggering amount of money is wasted in failed acquisitions.
Trillions globally. It's unbelievable.
And you might think, well, that's just the big guys, right? Big corporations making these massive deals.
But it's not just them.
But Chen's work actually shows that these failures, they're happening in the lower middle market too.
All the time. It's really surprising how similar the failure rates are. You'd think smaller deals would mean, less risk, but it's just not the case.
So what's the deal? What's going on?
Well, that's the fascinating part.
Is it just bad luck, or are there some fundamental reasons why these acquisitions go south?
Chen's work points to a deeper issue, a root cause that's often overlooked.
Okay, I'm listening.
A lack of executive alignment. Right from the very start, he argues that even in the lower middle market where things move fast and resources are tight, you absolutely have to get everyone on the same page. It's critical.
So CEOs, board members, key decision makers, you're saying they're sometimes going into these acquisitions with different ideas about what success looks like.
Precisely. It happens more often than you'd think. If the leadership team isn't aligned on the strategic goals, the integration process, how they define success, it's a recipe for disaster. It's like a ship setting sail with a crew that's arguing over which direction to go. You end up with confusion, conflicting priorities, and ultimately the deal's potential just goes up in smoke.
And in the lower middle market, where companies are usually leaner and meaner, I imagine those misalignments can have an even bigger impact.
Oh, absolutely. There's less room for error, less time to make adjustments, and fewer resources to throw at problems. Yeah, getting that executive alignment right from the beginning, it's essential in the lower middle market.
Okay, so no magic wand for this alignment thing.
Right.
But Chen does have some strategies, some concrete ways to help companies get on the right track.
Yes, he does.
So what's step one?
He strongly recommends what he calls executive alignment workshops. These are structured sessions held both before and after a deal closes, and they're designed to bring everyone together and really hammer out a shared vision.
Okay, I could see where this is going. You get all these busy executives, these big personalities locked in a room.
Right.
Doesn't exactly sound like a recipe for harmony.
I know what you mean. I was picturing a lot of tense silences, maybe some passive-aggressive PowerPoint presentations.
Exactly.
But it's much more than just sitting around a table. Chen uses a series of tools and frameworks, things that actually help guide the conversation and help executives move beyond these vague aspirations and get into the nitty-gritty details of what they're trying to achieve.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Let's unpack some of these tools. What are we talking about here?
One that's really interesting is called deal thesis decomposition, and it's all about breaking down the why behind the acquisition into concrete, measurable objectives, objectives that everyone can actually agree on.
So instead of just saying we're acquiring this company to, boost our market share,
Right.
they actually have to define exactly what that means, what it looks like.
Exactly. How much market share, by when, and how will they measure it? This forces them to get specific, and that clarity is essential for alignment and accountability, especially in the fast-paced world of the lower middle market.
It's like having an actual roadmap instead of just a vague sense of direction. And I bet that kind of clarity is really helpful for securing financing too, right? Lenders want to see a solid plan.
Absolutely. A well-defined deal thesis can be incredibly valuable when you're trying to convince investors and lenders that the acquisition is a smart move, and it helps to keep everyone focused on the ultimate goal throughout the entire process.
That makes so much sense. So what's another one of these alignment tools that Chen uses?
Yeah.
What else is in his toolkit?
Well, Another key tool is what he calls the integration end state vision.
Okay.
And it's basically like painting a picture
I like that.
of what success actually looks like
Okay.
beyond just the financials.
So we're not just talking spreadsheets and profit margins.
Not at all. It's about defining that desired future state of the combined company,
Right.
including its culture, values, and operating model.
And I imagine in the lower middle market where companies often have like really strong, distinct cultures,
Absolutely.
that's got to be especially critical.
It's huge.
Yeah.
You can't just assume that merging two companies is going to be this smooth, seamless process.
Right.
You have to really think about how those cultures are going to mesh or, potentially clash.
Yeah, you don't want to end up with a Frankenstein's monster of a company culture.
Exactly. And sometimes the goal might be to actually preserve the acquired company's culture.
Yeah, especially if that's a key part of their success, right?
Exactly. Other times, you might need to integrate those cultures more fully.
To achieve that shared vision.
Right.
So it's not a one-size-fits-all approach.
Not at all.
You have to be intentional about it.
The key is to make those decisions consciously and proactively.
Don't just let things happen organically.
Right.
So how do you get these executives to actually agree on this end state vision?
Yeah.
I mean, these are strong-willed, successful people.
Right.
They're not just going to blindly follow someone else's lead.
You're absolutely right. And that's why these workshops are so important. They provide that structured forum for those
Yeah.
crucial conversations.
To hash things
To
out.
challenge assumptions.
Yeah.
And to really arrive at a shared vision that everyone can get behind.
So it's almost like a form of like facilitated negotiation.
Exactly. It's about creating a safe space
I like that.
where people can express their opinions, explore different perspectives,
Yep.
and ultimately come to a consensus.
This is fascinating stuff. It's making me think about all those acquisitions I've read about that, went belly up.
Yeah,
I can see how this lack of alignment might have played a role.
absolutely.
So, okay, what else is in Chen's arsenal of tools?
Well, there's one more I think is particularly insightful, especially in the context of the lower middle market.
Okay, tell me more.
It's what he calls classes of acquisition integration.
Classes of acquisition integration?
Yeah,
That sounds pretty academic.
it is a little bit.
Break it down for me.
So this tool acknowledges that there isn't a one-size-fits-all approach to integration.
Okay,
Sometimes the goal is to fully absorb the acquired company,
right.
but other times it makes more sense to preserve their unique identity and operating model.
I see.
It all depends on the situation.
So it's not just about merging two companies into one big blob.
Right.
There are different strategies.
Exactly. It depends on the specific goals of the acquisition.
Okay, so give me an example.
Sure. Imagine you're acquiring a company for their cutting-edge technology.
Okay.
In that case, you might want to integrate them more fully.
To like maximize the value of that technology.
Exactly.
Okay.
But if you're acquiring a company for their established brand or their loyal customer relationships,
Right.
a more hands-off approach might be better.
Makes sense.
You don't want to mess with a good thing.
So if you like acquire a beloved local bakery, you probably don't want to immediately slap your corporate logo on everything and, change all the recipes.
Precisely. You'd want to preserve what makes that bakery special.
Keep that local charm
Exactly.
while maybe integrating some back-end functions or, expanding their distribution network.
Right.
It's all about finding the right balance.
For each specific situation.
This is really eye-opening stuff. It's making me realize how much more there is to acquisitions than just the financial side of things.
Oh, absolutely. And that's really Chen's core message.
Yeah.
It's about the people, the cultures, the visions,
Right.
and the importance of aligning all of those elements.
To create a successful outcome.
Exactly.
So we've talked about these like high-level tools and frameworks.
Yeah.
But how does this all play out in the real world? How can our listeners who might be involved in an acquisition someday actually use these insights?
That's a great question.
How can they navigate this process?
First and foremost, simply recognizing the importance of executive alignment is huge.
Okay.
Just being aware of this potential pitfall
Yeah.
can help you spot red flags early on
Okay.
and advocate for a more structured approach to decision-making.
So you're saying you don't have to be the CEO
Right.
to speak up and say, hey, are we all on the same page here?
Exactly. You can be at any level.
And it's not just about preventing disasters, right?
Right.
Understanding these tools can also help you actually unlock the full potential of an acquisition.
Absolutely.
Because when everyone's aligned,
Yeah.
the integration becomes a collaborative effort,
Right.
not a battleground.
Exactly. It's about shifting from that like me versus them mentality to
Yeah.
a we're all in this together approach.
That makes a lot of sense.
It really does.
So let's talk about how these tools actually translate into action.
Okay.
Let's take that deal thesis decomposition we were talking about.
Yeah.
Imagine you're a smaller company and you're acquiring a software firm
Okay.
to expand your product offerings.
Right.
Instead of just saying, we want to be the leading provider in this space, you break it down,
Right.
you set specific targets.
Exactly.
Like, We want to launch 2 new integrated products within 12 months
Okay.
and increase our market share by 10%.
Exactly.
And then you define how you'll measure progress toward those goals.
Exactly. That level of specificity is so important, especially in the lower middle market,
Yeah.
where things move fast and resources are tight.
It ensures that everyone is working towards the same tangible outcomes.
Right.
Clarity and accountability.
Exactly.
Okay, I can see how that would be incredibly valuable. It's like having that roadmap instead of just a vague sense of direction.
Right.
So what about the integration end state vision? How does that actually play out in a real-world scenario?
Okay, let's say you're acquiring a company that's known for its amazing customer service culture.
Okay,
The end state vision might involve preserving that culture
okay.
while also integrating their technology and processes into your existing structure.
So it's about being really deliberate and thoughtful about which aspects of the acquired company you want to preserve and which you want to adapt.
Exactly, and that's where those pre- and post-close workshops are so valuable.
Especially for the lower middle market.
They provide a structured forum to have those critical conversations,
Yeah.
challenge assumptions,
Right.
and arrive at a shared vision.
It's all about communication.
It really is.
But I got to ask you,
Yeah.
what if there are, disagreements during these workshops?
Sure.
How do you handle conflict when you have all these, strong personalities in the room?
It's a great question. And Chen really emphasizes the importance of having clear decision-making protocols
Okay,
from the outset.
like from the very beginning.
From the very beginning,
Huh.
for example, who has the ultimate authority to make certain decisions?
Right.
What happens if there's a deadlock? You need to have a system.
So it's about having a system in place
Yes,
to prevent those disagreements from turning into, like, major roadblocks.
exactly. And remember, conflict isn't always a bad thing.
Yeah, that's true.
It can actually be productive if it's managed effectively.
You can learn from disagreements?
Absolutely. It can force people to examine their assumptions,
Yeah.
consider different perspectives, and come up with more creative solutions.
That's a great point. It's not about avoiding conflict altogether.
Right.
It's about having a healthy, constructive way to address it.
Ex-
And that requires a culture of, trust and respect
Absolutely.
where people feel comfortable expressing their opinions, even if they're different from the majority.
Exactly. This whole idea of executive alignment, it's not just about checking boxes.
Okay.
It's about creating a culture of collaboration,
Yeah.
shared purpose.
Where everyone feels invested.
Exactly.
This has been really great. We've learned so much about the role of executive alignment in successful acquisitions, and we've explored some really practical tools and frameworks
Right.
that can help us achieve it. But before we wrap up, I want to touch on one final point that Chen makes,
Okay.
and that's the importance of ongoing assessment.
Excellent point. Alignment isn't a one-time event.
Right.
It's an ongoing process.
Things change, priorities shift,
Exactly.
new challenges arise.
All the time.
So it's crucial to regularly reassess alignment.
And make adjustments as needed.
It's like checking the map to make sure you're still on course.
Exactly.
And if you veered off track, you need to course correct
Right.
to get back on that path to success.
Exactly. And that's where those post-close workshops come into play. They provide that structured opportunity
Right.
to review progress.
Identify areas of misalignment,
Exactly.
make adjustments.
To keep the immigration on track.
Yeah.
It's all about making those course corrections early on.
I could see how that would be so important in the lower middle market, where things move so quickly.
Absolutely. Those early adjustments can save a lot of heartache and headaches down the road.
No doubt. This has been a really eye-opening conversation. We've delved into the world of acquisitions.
Right.
We've focused on this often overlooked but crucial element of executive alignment,
It's so important.
especially in the dynamic landscape of the lower middle market. We've explored Rowland Chen's insights, his practical tools and frameworks,
Right.
and how they can be applied to real-world scenarios. But before we conclude this deep dive, I want to leave our listeners with a thought-provoking question. So Chen's work, it focuses mainly on alignment at the executive level.
Right.
But what about the rest of the organization,
Yeah.
Could misalignment at lower levels, like among teams or departments, maybe even individual employees?
Yeah.
Could that also cause problems, especially in a smaller town where everyone's wearing multiple hats?
Absolutely. That's a really insightful question. And it kind of gets to the heart of how alignment or misalignment really works. It's like a ripple effect, If those at the top, those executives, if they're not on the same page,
Yeah.
that confusion, that uncertainty, it cascades down through the ranks. Imagine you're an employee, right? And your company has just been acquired.
Okay, yeah.
Your manager's telling you one thing, but then you hear rumors that the new leadership has different plans. It's unsettling.
Yeah, it's like that game of telephone, right? The message starts out clear, but then it gets distorted along the way, and by the time it reaches the front lines, it's completely different. So how do you prevent that kind of breakdown in communication, especially in the lower middle market, where things are often less formal, more relationship-driven?
Transparency, open communication. It all comes back to that. Leaders need to be proactive. They have to solicit feedback from employees at all levels, understand their concerns, and address them clearly and consistently. And it can't just be top-down communication either. It has to go both ways. Opportunities for dialogue, for questions, for genuine listening.
So it's not enough to just send out a company-wide email announcing the acquisition?
No, not at all.
And then just hoping for the best?
Nope. You have to create real opportunities for conversation. Town hall meetings, team huddles, even informal coffee chats. It's about fostering a culture where people feel safe to speak up, to share their perspectives, and to ask for clarification. And especially in the lower middle market, where relationships are so important, that open communication can make all the difference.
Yeah, and by creating that space for dialogue, you can identify potential misalignments early on, before they become big problems, like preventative maintenance. You're addressing those small issues before they cause a breakdown.
Precisely. And just like Chen emphasizes those executive alignment workshops at the leadership level,
Right.
similar principles can be applied to teams and individuals throughout the organization.
So even in the lower middle market, where things are often less structured,
Yeah.
you're still advocating for those facilitated discussions where you define shared goals, clarify roles and responsibilities, and establish clear lines of communication.
Absolutely. Even if it's just a simple team meeting where you take the time to hash out expectations and address concerns, that kind of proactive approach can go a long way in preventing misalignment and fostering a sense of unity. You have to remember, we're not just merging balance sheets and profit margins.
Right.
We're merging people, cultures, and ways of working, and that human element can't be ignored.
That's such a crucial point. It's easy to get caught up in the numbers, the logistics.
For sure.
But it's the people who will make or break the deal, especially in the lower middle market, where those personal relationships, they're the backbone of the business.
Absolutely. And when you bring together two companies, you're inevitably going to have different ways of working, different ideas, different values. The diversity can be a huge asset, but only if it's managed effectively.
It's like a garden, You can have all these amazing plants, but if you don't take care of them, they can choke each other out. So how do you create that environment where differences can thrive?
It goes back to those communication and alignment skills we've been talking about. Leaders need to be skilled at facilitating those conversations, mediating disagreements, finding common ground. It's about creating a space where people feel heard and respected, even if their ideas are different.
It's like being a conductor. You have all these different instruments, each with their unique sound, but your job is to bring them all together, create something beautiful and powerful.
That's a great analogy, and that's really what successful acquisition integration is all about, creating something that's greater than the sum of its parts. Whether you're a CEO leading a huge deal or a manager overseeing a team merger, it all comes down to the same principles.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, I think the message is clear. Alignment isn't optional. It's essential. It's the foundation for success in any kind of collaboration.
Absolutely.
And by embracing these ideas, transparency, communication, respect, we can create a work environment where everyone feels valued, empowered, and aligned toward a shared vision.
Well said. And remember, this isn't a one-time fix. It's an ongoing process. It takes constant attention, adjustment. But it's worth it. You get alignment right, you unlock the full potential of your team. It's a powerful force for innovation and growth.
This has been a really amazing exploration of the world of acquisition integration. We've learned from the best Rowland Chen and seen how his insights apply to the lower middle market. We've explored the power of alignment, the importance of communication, the human element that can't be ignored.
It's been a pleasure.
And to our listeners, thank you for joining us on this deep dive. We hope it's given you some food for thought, challenged some assumptions, and provided some valuable tools to apply in your own work. And remember, whether you're navigating an acquisition or simply trying to improve collaboration within your team, alignment is the key that unlocks the door to success.
Until next time, keep learning, keep questioning, and keep striving for that balance, that harmony that leads to extraordinary results.
Thinking of exiting your business or taking on a private equity partner to help you grow faster? BizNexus has you covered. Tap into our network of thousands of best-fit investors, acquirers, and proven M&A advisors, and we'll help you begin the relationship confidentially on your terms, your timeline. Learn more at biznexus.com.